Live from my mother's basement. Here's Johnny. Hooray! I never get sick of that line. It's a pretty good line. So today, for this video, we're going to do something a little bit out of the ordinary. Let me take this opportunity to get a little bit closer so I can be serious for a minute. Oh, hi's! This video essentially is something that I don't really plan on doing a whole lot, but something that I've wanted to do since my wonderful girlfriend gave me the idea for it. It's going to be a dissection, I guess, or movie review, if you want to call it that. It's just going to be some nonsense, really, because the movie that she wanted me to do is something I didn't really like. So I'm just going to kind of take it apart. I mean, I'm not going to, bash it to hell or hit it over the head with a hammer or anything, but, I did not like this movie at all, and I guess I'm going to provide some reasoning why, and I'll use some other sources that, kind of back me up and maybe explain why I feel the way that I do about it. So we're already like a minute and a half in, and I haven't even talked about the fucking movie that I'm going to review yet, so let's get to that. I guess in June of 2011, they came out with this Green Lantern superhero movie. Green Lantern is a DC comic book hero. I never got into DC comics, really. I understand that Batman and Superman are DC franchises. I also think that The Flash is a DC character. But in maybe Aquaman because of the Justice League and all that, but I don't really follow DC. I was never a DC kid growing up. Honestly, those comics kind of bore the shit out of me. The only DC related thing that I ever truly liked was the old school Batman cartoon. I forget when that was even out. And then the live action Batman from like the 70s or the 80s with Adam West. It's pretty cool. It's very entertaining. But I was always like a Marvel Comics kid when I was growing up. I really like the stories of Spider-Man. Yeah, I know. Throw your hate now. How typical, right? I also liked Iron Man. And I don't think there was anybody that didn't like the X-Men per se. I was never one of those frontrunner guys that was like, oh my god, Wolverine is so cool. My favorite member of the X-Men was actually Nightcrawler. He was pretty badass to me. I liked Gambit, throwing cards, talking with a little Cajun accent. That was pretty sweet. But, yeah, I mean, with the superhero movies that have come out, semi-recently, even over the past, like, decade, you want to say, they set the bar kind of high. Now, I know some of the sequels, or when they make it a trilogy, God forbid, have been a little bit weak, but if you remember back to the first Spider-Man film that came out, I mean, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was very well done. If you remember back to when Edward Norton played the part of Bruce Banner in the Incredible Hulk movie, that was pretty badass. The first X-Men movie was really, some people liked it, some people didn't, but it was what it was. Nobody can deny that Hugh Jackman didn't do a great job in Wolverine Origins. So, and also, I guess you could say Robert Downey Jr. really portrayed, Tony Stark very well in Iron Man. So, you know, with the amount of superhero movies that have come out, you would expect that this would kind of follow that suit and, you know, go along with it, be very popular, get good reviews, you know. Um, when they bring in, you know, these actors that have usually done more of a comedy role, guys that really you don't think of as too serious of an actor, or guys that might have played in films that are considered like more chick flickish kind of things. Um, I don't necessarily think that that's a good idea. Granted, you know, superhero movies have their own version of humor, but if you think back to like the Punisher movie, you know, it was a very dark humor, and it was a very stereotypical comic book type humor. It wasn't like they had to dig deep and find like a comedian kind of guy to play the role for it. It was just kind of there, and you know, as a comic book fan, you either get it or you don't. And I feel like with this Green Lantern movie that they really kind of overdid it. Like it was trying to be too funny. Um, I love jokes. I love to watch comedies, and I love to be entertained, you know, with laughter because I think that laughter is the best medicine. I think that my, you know, channel here is kind of a joke to begin with, you know, live from my mother's basement. I'm going to give you a little hint, guys. I'm not actually in my mother's basement every time. Just throwing that out there. Oh god, I broke down the fourth wall. Kayfabe is destroyed. The world will never be the same. Turns out that this is actually a bedroom in the house. This isn't the basement. But, yes, it's still at Mom's house, so take that what you will. You know, the point is that Ryan Reynolds is a guy that's been in, you know, plenty of other films, and there's plenty of the other films that have done very well. And, you know, I think they took him for merit of his physique and because they thought that he would be a good fit for this part. And I think that that really came back to kind of bite him in the ass. Like he really did not do the comic book character justice, I don't think. And you know, maybe that's not entirely his fault. Maybe that's kind of like the director's vision just wasn't really there or meshing up. Whatever this screenplay was that they wrote for it, it felt very rushed. Um, there wasn't a whole lot of enjoyment watching this movie. Like there were maybe 3 or 4 times that I kind of giggled at the jokes that they were making, but all in all, I just wasn't even entertained. Like I feel like I could have spent my time doing something else and getting a lot better of a result out of it. Like I mean, I watched it with my girlfriend. Hi, Steffi. You know, we were cuddling the entire time. And I think that's really what made the movie tolerable because if I was just sitting there watching it by myself, I would have turned that shit off in the first, like, 25 minutes. I would have given it that long, though. I wouldn't say like the first 5 minutes because, you know, you can't really get into a movie in 5 minutes, so. But definitely within the first half hour, I think I had a good feeling that it was going to be really bad. And when movies give you that kind of first impression, you know, it's never a good thing. It's really hard to recover from that. And a lot of other people feel the same way I did. Like, I was looking before I tried to even get on this camera and talk and do this stupid review that on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, the review thing on the internet, they gave this movie a 27% success rate. So nobody is happy. Um, the I guess 48% of the audience said that they liked the movie, but I mean they're calling it things like noisy, overproduced, thinly written, and they said that it took an impressive budget and squandered it basically. So I mean, I'm not the only one out there throwing fucking stones at this movie, you know. So don't hate me for not liking this movie because nobody else really did either. If over 50% of the people that saw this say that it sucked, chances are it sucked. Um, there's always going to be people that are hard on movies to begin with, just because it's the cool thing to do. You know, like, let's critique something. Let's just totally bash it and be like, that's stupid. Um, and as much as I'd like to provide concrete reasons for this, I mean, you just see the movie for yourself, and they're very apparent. I don't even have to get into it. Um, the one thing that really pisses me off is that there's no explanation of who these Green Lanterns are. If you're not like a follower of the comic book per se, you have no idea where they come from, why they're there. Like, it's explained, I guess, that for, you know, centuries or millions of years or some fucking time period that the Green Lanterns have existed and protected the galaxy, and there's all these sectors or whatever that they, you know, pursue justice in or whatever. And there's these magic fucking rings that they get to wear, and it manifests their own willpower into fucking objects or something. So you can like literally make like a big fist and punch somebody in the face with it. I don't. Does that really make you a superhero if your fucking power comes out of a ring? I'm just wondering, like, you know, Batman might not be able to fly, and he might not be able to, you know, shoot fire out of his hands or anything cool like that, but he still knows martial arts, and he's really smart, and he kicks ass, and he uses that to his advantage. He doesn't need a magic fucking ring to do it, you know? Granted, he's got a lot of money to create new technology and all that shit, but Batman kicked ass long before Green Lantern ever came out, and he didn't need a ring to do it with. And when I think rings and super mystical powers, I think Lord of the Rings, and I think that Lord of the Rings is a way better story than this shit. So, um, you know, they tried really hard with this movie, um, and they also, I feel like they tried to make it out to be like they weren't taking themselves too seriously. And if you're gonna do that, that's fine, but I feel like they did it in a way that wasn't really classy. I feel like it was just like over the top fucking humor every slide. And when you're trying to get into a story, you know, that's supposed to be compelling and dramatic and all that shit, like save the girl or save the day or save the world, like it can't be funny all the time, you know. I feel like this movie just kind of fell flat on its face, like, and apparently they wanted to make a sequel or a trilogy out of this fucking thing. Like, it's just ridiculous. Green Lantern's budget, I guess. I'm looking here on Wikipedia. Hang on a second. So the film grossed more than 200 million, but the marketing costs were 100 million, and the budget for production was already like 200 million. So there was still a big substantial loss. The Green Lantern needed to make about 500 million to be considered financially solid, and it did like half of that. So there was a lot of failing to perform to the expectations, and like I guess between the average rating, it got like a 4.6 out of 10 amongst all the big review people that are out there. That's not even half. You know, it's still failing. It's failing by a lot. I don't have terribly much more time to analyze this movie. I only get 15 minutes to do shit. Subscribe to me if you like. Put your comment section below. What did you think of this movie? I thought it was absolutely awful. And I'm sorry that my girlfriend Stephanie Jordan has to share a last name with this comic book character, Hal Jordan, because honestly, I'd want to marry me in a second just to make it so that she didn't have to walk around like that. And plus, Venti isn't a bad last name. So until next time, peace.